Welcome to episode 9 of the Fingers in Pies podcast. Episode 9.
We're getting there. We're
getting there. We would be on episode 100 if you weren't so busy lately, Mr. Tommy. Yeah, that was a
catty comment.
It was a catty comment.
We've been on 20
I literally saved it as well. I haven't mentioned it. I was like, you've been too busy. Thank you very much for joining us. Obviously, we're on YouTube, we're on Spotify, we're on a load of other places where you can get your podcasts that I can't actually think of right now. But there's a lot of other places that we're on. It's everywhere. Me, obviously, my name's Zach. Co-host of the Fingers in Pies podcast, but we've got Tommy, Mr. Mayor on Freight UK himself. How you doing, Tommy?
All good, mate. You?
Good. And we're joined by a guest as usual. This time, his name's Tom as well. Mr. Tom Gray, how are you?
I'm very well there, sir. How are you two fine gentlemen?
Not too bad, not too bad. We had lots of Toms, actually, haven't we?
Yeah, we've had too many Toms.
Yeah, too many Toms.
I think it's just a bit of a basic white boy name.
It's an easy name, right, isn't it? It's just like, Tom. Yeah,
I'm thinking of changing my name to Tom, just to fit in. Just to fit in with you lot. I feel
Tom Fortis. It's got a nice ring to it.
Yeah, Tom Fortis is a good one. That's my, that is, yeah, definitely. That's definitely my sort of spy name.
Yes.
Yeah, if I had one. What do we think of the foliage that's just been put by me?
I mean, I am enjoying the foliage. It's very much encroaching.
At one
on your
point,
presence.
it was like here. I don't know what they were doing, but we're going to move it back.
I mean, it's definitely interesting. It's making it feel a little bit lighter in here. I feel like I'm breathing in some very needed oxygen, just sucking in.
I just get tickled at the back of my neck with my one.
It just feels like you got shell behind you. Like, oh yes.
There's usually a really great structure to these podcasts when we, but I have a feeling we're going to throw the structure out the window and sort of chat about anything and everything. But we should probably sort of explain how this has come about, Tom, and how you're actually sitting here in Merom.
I mean,
how's this happened?
Good question, Tommy. Do you want to answer?
No, it's all yours, mate. All yours.
Right, okay, crumbs. Let's go back. Start from the beginning, shall we?
We met you at the first round of the BTCC.
Yes, so it was Donington. So yeah, got invited along to Donington through Nick Halstead.
Right.
And then obviously met yourself because you're always with Tom Ingram.
Yeah.
And was essentially invited along as just a content creator, see if I can create some buzz about the BTCC. Got hooked.
Yeah.
And then met Tommy at Brands.
Yep.
And your wife did a bit of a fangirl moment, and that
100%. Literally saw you walk out. And in fact, we watched it on TV. Donington saw you do an interview on Anyway. And my wife turned around and goes, "Is that? It is." And I was like, "Well, you might be at other ones." And she was like, "Right, I'm at Brands." I was like, "Okay, fine, right." We all went to Brands. As we were walking up to the back of the Accelerate garage, you're walking out, and she went, that's Tom. That's Tom. I went to. I was going to go and have a chat. So we went and had a chat, and then she had a fangirl.
I mean, it was amazing. My ego inflated to the size of Norway within about 30 seconds. And then got chatting to you, and you're like, "Oh yeah, it'd be amazing. Let's get you on the podcast." And then spoke to Zach, probably I think on the grid at race 2, and he was like, "Oh, you should come on the podcast." I was like, "Oh, there's the connection." Right,
they literally have attacked me.
Exactly.
Great minds.
I was flanked from left and right. I was just stood there in the middle, like.
I was saying, sorry. I was like, "I'm going to get him on the grid. When are you getting him? I'm going to get him off the Brands." Oh yeah. So yeah, we got you.
Yeah, and then I was with Shell and the kids for probably the rest of the day.
Yeah.
I was just like, "Nah, I like these guys. I'm kind of hanging around."
So for those that have lived under a rock, we should probably explain that guy Gray on TikTok is you, Tom Gray. I mean.
Yes.
On TikTok, I mean, we met. I think again, we'll name drop. Michael Crees actually introduced us very quickly. He was like, he used the word that you hate, which we'll get onto. He went, "I've got an influencer here," and he literally threw up in his mouth.
I hate it so much.
So to let people know, just in case you don't know, like my mum will listen to this and watch it, and she'll be like, "Who is that guy?" TikTok. Explain who you are.
How did this all happen?
Yeah, so a bit of a mad world, to be fair. So I mean, I started back in September, just posting some random videos. Essentially, I'd had enough of ranting at my mum about politics and random stuff, and she went, just
find something to find.
Exactly. It was kind of a case of I didn't have a girlfriend to bend their ears. My mum was like, just bugger off and do it on TikTok. I was like, okay, cool. So started ranting on TikTok, and the rants were pretty successful. And I was like, okay, this isn't bad. And then started telling some historical stories. And I can remember it was October, I had 500 followers. And I made a video saying like, yes, hit 500, and that was my halfway to my goal of 1,000 by the end of the year.
Yep.
And I think Zach is now checking the numbers.
261,000 or 261.8k.
It's not bad, really, since October.
Since October. See, I've
Not a bad growth.
See, we've not really had a chat. We chat about a lot, obviously, in and out of the touring club, mainly about the racing and stuff because we're so engrossed.
And how beautiful you are naturally.
Oh, thank you very much. But we haven't actually discussed that it was from October.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
A little bit mad, which is why kind of everything just feels a little bit bizarre at the moment, right? So it's, you go back, 6 months to a year ago, nobody really knew who the hell I was. And now I'm getting people coming up to me in the street and they're like, you got that guy from TikTok? And I'm like,
That is cool.
This is weird. It was great at Thruxton when I had my dad and my brother with me. It's the first time they'd ever been, in the paddock of the BTCC, but also with me, like just chatting with drivers, walking around the Accelerate garage, seeing yourself, Jordan who's behind the camera, and yourself, and everyone's just like, do you know everyone now? And I'm like, maybe. Yeah. Nice.
Yes.
And it's just it's just an amazing place to be, really.
Yeah. So why do you hate the word influencer?
I think it's kind of multifaceted. I would say mainly because the people that class themselves as influencers, like, oh yes, I'm an influencer.
Right.
Like, let me have something for free and I can just like take a photo for you.
Use the name. Use it, right?
Get in the bin, you vulgar human being. But then there's also the kind of case of, well, what influence do I actually have? If I'm giving myself the title of influencer, do I actually have any influence? Like, if I say something as in, I think this is better than that, are people now going to start shifting over to that? Well, in the grand scheme of things, no.
Right.
Like, not in the slightest. Maybe if I hit like 1 million followers, then maybe I'd start to be like, okay, I'd accept it. But also I just think it's the people that carry themselves with the influencer badge. They're just...
Yeah, I get what you mean. I think it's influencer, suggests that you are maybe used for advertising and stuff like that, and like you say,
that's what the word says, right? I think. And like you say, unless you feel you're really doing it, or something you want to actually do or say, it's. Yeah, I suppose you can not really like it, but also it gets pinned on you quite easily, doesn't it? Yeah,
it gets pinned on me like automatically. Like Chris, as we just mentioned, he said, you're an influencer, and would introduce me to everybody in the paddock as an influencer. I think mainly because he just saw me like folding in half every time he said it.
I quite like just the guy from TikTok works.
I quite that guy from TikTok.
That guy from TikTok, considering it's ThatGuyGray, works perfectly.
Exactly, works beautifully. And again, we were talking about Tom being a standard name. There were 9 Toms in my school year, so everyone just got known as their surname, and that was it. Like, when I started my Instagram, 12 years ago, something like that now, I just went, ThatGuyGray, that'll do, that'd be fine, and started the TikTok. I was like, I might as well use the same name.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Annoyingly though, somebody has ThatGuyGray, so I have to be ThatGuyGray 95, which is a little bit irritating.
Who are you?
Is it a big account?
No, they've got 5 followers.
Give it over. Let's contact them.
Please. Can I just have it?
Just have that guy, Gray. Come on, stop doing this to us. He's got 5 followers today. He's just been mentioned.
I'd laugh if he actually watched this.
What's going on?
I could contact him. Don't know what he'd ask for it though.
He'll charge you through the roof.
Nose.
God. I mean, it just, and that's the other thing, is everybody thinks just because you've got a large following on social media on TikTok, everyone's like, oh, you got money.
That is a common misconception, isn't it? You have got 4.3 million likes on TikTok, which is a hard thing to do. I'd say it's a hard thing to do. I mean, you've just been ranting away on TikTok from October. Yeah. But we have put, effort into a lot of TikTok channels that we've had. We had a relatively, a lot of likes, in the sort of millions of views or whatever. That's taking a lot of effort. You don't just sort of go. But then, like you say, people just assume and they just go, how much money are you making from that then? I was like, about £3.50 actually. They're like, what? With that many likes and that many views? I'm like, yes.
Pay for this coffee.
Exactly.
Like, oh, right. I'm like, yeah, don't worry about it. It's all good.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I mean, I probably don't help myself in the fact that I dress in clothes that make me look like I've got money. But like, all of my suits are from Primark. Like, it's so much better. And because I'm just such a basic size, I can just go into any suit shop, put it on, and be like, yeah, that fits. Thank you very much.
So your rants.
Yes, sir.
I've watched a lot.
Amazing.
You don't take yourself too seriously at all. No. However, you do breach some subjects that I guess people would go are serious. Politics being one of them.
Yes, sir.
Which is brilliant because, you know, if anyone's looking to laugh at politics, that's right up my street.
Which you kind of need to do these days.
Yes, exactly. Because once you take it too seriously, you just you wouldn't be happy.
Well, that's it. There's two quotes that are perfect for that. Is Charlie Chaplin said that life up close is a tragedy, from a distance it's a comedy. Mm-hmm. So that's why, you know, British politics, for example, I find a tragedy because it actually affects me, and I've got to see these buffoons running the country and pretend that everything's fine. Whereas American politics, well, that's hilarious.
Yeah,
I'm so far removed from it. I'm like, that's brilliant.
Just as big a mess, but we're not involved in it.
Exactly that.
It is great, isn't it? I mean, don't get me wrong. The memes that have been made from Donald Trump are just absolutely genius.
Oh, they are legendary. It's brilliant. Or it's like,
and Biden.
I mean, Biden's brilliant. You can't remember the end of the sentence half the time. Yeah. And then Trump's just like, you know, covered in fake tan and pretends he's from blooming Clacton. It's an interesting look.
I'm just wondering if there's an age range for American politics. You have to be above 75 to qualify.
Also, the interesting one that I've seen is that apparently the best time or the worst generation to be in if you want to be in American politics is in Generation X, because they skipped that generation completely. So like, Bill Clinton was a boomer, George Bush was a boomer. Then instead of going to Generation X, Obama was then obviously a boomer as well. Instead of going to Gen X, it jumped back to the silent generation, which is Joe Biden and Donald Trump. And it's staying there. But I just find it hilarious that, you know, at least with UK politics, we've got people under the age of 65 that are mainly running the country. But like, we accept worldwide that you get to 65 and your brain isn't kind of what it should be, and you should retire. Whereas in America, it's like, well, hey, you can be the president. Go for it. Just have the most important job in the world.
It does seem very weird.
It is very confusing, and I think no matter what side of the political spectrum you sit on, politics is just Hollywood for ugly people these days. And that's just what it feels like.
It's just Hollywood as well, like, exactly. In general, right?
But at least in Hollywood, you've got like Brad Pitt and Margot Robbie, so you're like, oh, I can look at that, that's fine.
But how about like Nigel Farage, Matt Hancock, I'm a celebrity, get me out of here. Like literally making themselves almost like making... I've got a 13-year-old and an 11-year-old who now know who Matt Hancock is just for what bugs he's eating in the jungle. Like literally, I'm like,
but that's the world we live in, right? And that's how it's so messed up. Really,
it's crazy.
Yeah. Like it is. It is weird, but at the same time, that is the world we live in. So you got Farage now wanting to go back in and get involved again. You're like, I swear I saw you eating a witchy grub about 3 months ago.
Exactly.
Like, what's going on?
You do not look like a statesman with something flopping out of your mouth like that. I'm sorry, it just doesn't work.
And you're talking about the witchy grub.
I was going to say, they've all been in them situations.
I mean, it is Farage. He was privately educated, so I'm just going to leave that one there.
Right, so... We've already done it. We've already gone to a new low. We've taken it there. Farage with something flopping out of his mouth. Anyway, we'll tag him in that one.
What a standard
Episode
Monday.
9, Floppy Farage.
Yeah.
Oh, God, I love it. Yes.
You do address politics. You do address everything. You don't take yourself too seriously. Do you ever, I'm going to ask this, we just talked about a little bit of content that we put together that we didn't end up putting out. That happens a lot as a content agency. We're like, yeah, this is great. And we watch it, we're like, oh, maybe it's not. Do you ever go on one of your rants and go, no, that's not making the final cut?
A few times. Like, you know, because again, like I do try to broach like serious topics from time to time, right? And there are a lot of things going on in the world where I think pretty much middle of the road people are like, well, this is all tosh, right? But you can't say it out in the wider world because everyone labels you this or that or the other.
Of course.
But I want people to be able to feel like they can debate freely on these topics, because at the end of the day, like, I'm sure all three of us have very different political opinions. We might be aligned on most things, but there's going to be a few things. And I want to encourage people to then kind of find the centre ground and then work out from there, because it seems these days we start from the outside and then try and work our way in. Which
everyone wants to start with the differences rather than the similarities.
Exactly that, right?
And I think that's just a mindset that seems to be in society in general at the minute, and I think it's just a wrong way to think. Like you say, start with your common interests and then work your way out if you need to.
Exactly.
Otherwise, just actually enjoy being around other people and have a chat.
Because that's it. Again, we're not around other people that much anymore these days. Like, we are the most connected we've ever been, but we are the most disconnected we've ever been.
But the
which is why I
media-
think people love podcasts.
Yeah.
Because people sat down and chatted.
That's true.
And it's not just like little sound bites or little clicks of got you. It's kind of people actually sitting down, discussing and figuring things out. It's kind of missing from the wider world. We used to get that in politics, but we don't anymore.
Absolutely. And the media love, it seems, some media outlets love to go, you're in this camp or you're in this camp.
Yes.
And there's there's very few people that are allowed to talk and actually go, oh no, I think, the Labour Party or whoever have got a good point there, but I also think the Tories have got a good point there, and there's somewhere in the middle we can find out a line. There's we're convinced by the media that no, we're left or we're right. We're either super loony left and you're labelled, or you're extreme right and hate everyone and want them out of the country. Like, literally, that is it. And then you're like, what about if we're in? Because I meet a lot of people that I can have a chat with, like a lot of my friends. I can maybe very differently politically. They're my best mates. So literally, I was like, how do we get on?
Here's my favourite thing. So it's fun that you say left and right. Okay, so that originally comes from France, pre the revolution, just before. So essentially what happened was in France's sort of main parliament building, when they were discussing, do we want to have a revolution, do we want to get rid of the king? People that wanted to keep the king, they sat on the right-hand side of the assembly, and they were known as conservatives because they wanted to conserve what had been going on. And people that wanted to get rid of him sat on the left, and they were known as reformists. So that's where we get left and right from. But when people think you've got far left or far right, it's complete codswallop, because at the top you've got centrist, at the bottom you've got anarchy, and they both just go around like that. So like fascism and communism have got so much more in common with each other than anything else. It's like you look at the party that can't be named in Germany in the 30s. They were originally a left-wing party. They were socialists, and it was then just about how essentially land ownership worked and how they were sort of nationalistic and all of that. But it's, people go, oh yeah, well I'm a lefty, so I can't be that on the right. It's like, well, you're acting very similar to the right. Of course. Like, come on.
This is the thing. Like, I think people are too scared of getting labelled something. They can't actually just have a chat anymore and be like, "Oh, actually, I see your point."
It's like if you're one side, you can't agree with even one point from the other. And like you say, there seems to be no middle ground in it, or you feel like they can't have any middle ground when actually you can.
Well, that's it. I mean, we've all got one middle ground, right? That we can all agree on. We're all British, right? We'll start from there, work out, right? Because everybody says, we need to fix the world. Fine, fix the world. Great ideas. You're not going to fix the world if you can't keep your house tidy.
But this is what we just said, right? People starting from the outside working in. We kind of all need to just go, hang on, we all live in this country. Let's start dealing with ourselves at the moment. Once we get that near enough where we want it, then let's work our way out and start, because we need to sort ourselves out a bit at the moment.
And that's why people like a Farage or a Trump, they are popular, because they kind of say, well, we need to look after our own first, right? And then everybody attaches that and goes, that's great. But then it's all of the other little bits of rhetoric that are then attached to it. You're like,
that's awkward.
Okay.
I think and there's just so much anger. You'll find there's just way too much anger out there. People are so angry with stuff that they just want to go crazy at something.
100%, and it probably wouldn't be as bad if people, learn certain things at school. Like if they learn how to debate, they learn about politics, they learn about
get
taxes.
onto that. Jesus, it's insane. Like from what my daughter and son do, I'm sure you have the same as well. Your kids come home and you're going, I learned that 20 years ago and I haven't used it once. Like, what's the point? Like, teach them something that they're going to actually need and use moving forward, right? That is I get basics, I get all that side, but at the same time, me and wife have this conversation going, I don't understand why she's learning this, or why, what was it? Well, obviously the protractor argument, for example, was one on me. Going, you need to have this protractor, you've got to need this. I'm turning around going, I haven't seen that since 2001 when I was 10.
Who knows how to use a protractor?
I mean, the only thing I used a protractor for was like sawing a rubber in half.
Yeah.
That was literally it.
Or when
One of the two coloured ones, was it
the
pink and blue?
And you always had told the lie that one did pencil, the other did pen. And I'd just be there like, come on! It was either that or like stabbing a pencil into it and making it look like it had pimples.
Oh, yes.
Nothing rubbed out pen. It was a lie. The Bic.
It really
Nothing
was.
rubbed out a Bic.
I know.
It really was a lie.
Bic was brilliant. The other thing that I love with the Bic pen is they were great for twiddling with your fingers.
Oh,
so you get it to do like,
and you could do that and spin it round.
Yeah. And everybody at school was obsessed to the point when we were doing like, you're just sat there going, I'm doing it.
If people want to know what I learned at school, that's about it.
If you want to run a successful haulage company, just twiddle your fingers with a pen and you'll be fine.
How we've gone from a semi-serious conversation about politics to
Protractors.
and the Bic, the twiddling the Bic was the thing that we learned. But yeah, I mean, back to your TikTok following. It's kind of snowballed, isn't it? I mean, it's got a bit mad. But I mean, it could go even. Like, this is where it could go. It could go. You just had one the other day, 460,000 I saw, or something like that. You have another one that goes 8,000.
Yeah.
So you could have one that goes millions, and also you could be 1 million followers before you know it. But I mean, is that a bit weird and a bit daunting? Or are you just going to ride this sort of wave to see where it takes you?
I mean, I'm just here and I'm enjoying it, and I'm just kind of going with the flow, right? I mean, so what? Go back 2 months. I didn't know either of you two.
Yeah.
Now I know the pair of you. I know the pair of you actually pretty bloody well because I see you every other bloody weekend, and I live 5 minutes down the road. So I've done after school club. We've been sat in the Sims, but like you know, it's motorsport is something that I utterly adore and I've always wanted to. I've got petrol for blood. So if there's an opportunity where I can continue down this path and I can continue to work with motorsport and continue to run my own business, fine, great, grand,
maximising that, right? Isn't it? Like,
Exactly.
I suppose, you know, you get given an opportunity. It's just a door that's open. You either walk through it or you take the wrong way and slam it shut, right? So making the most of that situation, like anything in life, really, if the door's open for you in one way or another, walk through it, like, make the most of it.
100%. And it's like, you know, a lot of people have said, oh, you're really, really lucky. And, you know, I accept that. I am very, very lucky. You know, I'm sat here with you boys, for example, now on a podcast. I get to go to all of the British touring car events. That is incredibly lucky. But I also view luck as kind of hard work meeting, as you say, opportunities. Because I wouldn't be here if I didn't sit in my car for 2-3 hours a day making sure I get out like a historical video or something.
You've done
political.
it, right?
Absolutely.
You've done it. It's
It's-
you created that content. You know, you've built, you make your own luck.
Exactly.
And we've talked about it before on the podcast. It has come up, and I've just been slamming the media as such. But social media gets an absolute battering with a certain generation of people. And to be fair, when I'm in the mood, I can really dig out social media. It frustrates me to a degree, and I've got a content agency. It sounds mad saying that, but the opportunities it gives you as well, and the opportunities it's given us, you know, if it's used in the right way,
100%.
obviously that's people. I think that's more my frustration when I'm getting angry at social media outlets, stuff like that, is where it's used in the right way. You can see it, it's transparent, that it's used in a certain way, and you're like, oh, that really frustrates me. But when it's used in the right way, I mean, look at the opportunities it actually gives people.
It can be outstanding. I mean, like one of the it's any form of sort of technology, right?
Yeah.
Like technology is supposed to make our lives easier. We all know that it actually sometimes makes our life a lot more difficult.
Yeah.
But you look at probably one of my favourite stories and tying it in with motorsports. I'm looking at Tingram over there. You've got Jan Mardenborough. Right, so who started as a sim racer on Gran Turismo, and now he's a fully fledged racing driver over in, is it the Super GT Cup over in Japan? Like racing GT1 cars, like these things are mental, and it's all just from him, you know, making a bit of a name for
that
himself.
Story in general, like, I think that grabbed a lot of people, right? One, because we all played that game growing up, loved it, absolutely loved it. But just a story as well, because that is the dream of pretty much every kid. Like, who's 10 going, that's what I want to do.
It's
it's now happening a lot.
Yeah,
like so many sim races.
Kid playing FIFA and then becoming a footballer. That's essentially what they've done, isn't it?
Well, you had it with a manager in, I want to say Germany, maybe France.
Yeah,
where he basically learnt his trade on Championship Manager. And now I think he's just left, but he was 20 something or other, and he was managing a fully professional football club.
Yeah.
And that's basically the same thing, but in the football terms of managing.
Yeah.
And you're like, you literally, the opportunities are endless.
It's
really.
Yeah.
100%.
If you do it right.
But you are right, there are negatives to it. So the fact that people call it social media, 9 times out of 10, I think we can all agree that it's actually unsocial media.
Yeah.
The algorithm, just as you were saying earlier, it feeds into the natural hatred that is just out there, and people, it's so much easier to hate than it is to love, right? So people will express that outwardly. Especially, I think, for men, it's a lot easier to express hatred and anger than it is to say, you know what, I actually love you two boys. It's a lot more difficult for a guy to say that, which is why if I don't look out for this. Whenever you say like I love you to your guy mates, you will always put something at the end of it. So be like, love you bro, love you dude. You'll never just say I love you. Never do it. Whereas girls will just say I love you, right? And I think that, I don't know if that's like a British stiff upper lip thing or if that's just how it is, but it is one of those weird things that we have to caveat our emotions. Our emotions and how we're feeling about somebody. But it does seem that sort of our generation are getting better at it and sort of being more okay and more open with that. I mean, I call literally everybody gorgeous or darling. And I've lost track how many times I've spanked your bottom in a paddock. Like it is great fun. It is great fun. But it's like, that's the thing, is I think when you, and it's not taking anything away from like being a masculine dude, right? Like just because you can flirt and you can have like a bit of a giggle doesn't suddenly mean that I'm now going to walk in hand through your front door and Shell's going to be put in the cupboard. Like, it's not going to happen. Although it might, Shell, watch out. You know, and it's, I think the more people get comfortable with that and the more that people see that, especially on social media, then maybe we'll actually get some headway and people being a little bit more open rather than closed off and willing to hate the other tribe, really.
Sometimes I think with the generation thing as well, until you're put into a situation where you then realise it, and it shouldn't be that, do you know what I mean? So unless something affects you to the point that it gets you into a bad place or gets you down, gets you depressed, and you turn around and go, okay, wow, I actually understand this whole world and what people are talking about. It shouldn't be you've got to get to that to understand it. It's my dad won't mind me saying, obviously we're going through a tough time with my mum with her Alzheimer's and everything, and he turned around to me and said, and he's a generation of, you know, he's 80 years old, he's that generation hard, you know, just don't talk, just go with it. And he admitted, and he turned around and went, I get it. I get it. And for him to say that, it took me back, and you go, wow, okay. But it shouldn't take that situation for people to, or men especially, to understand that. I mean, June is Men's Mental Health Month, right? So I've made a couple of posts about it. I'm not going to deny the fact that I've struggled myself, and you go through ups and downs, right, in different parts of your life, but you've got to talk.
Oh, God.
You've got to talk.
100%. And it's like even simple things, like I personally don't think that men talk the same way that women do, in the sense that we don't want to be coddled, right? We don't want to be told that we're beautiful, we're pretty, and everything's going to be perfectly fine. I personally think, give a dude a purpose or give him something to focus on, and he goes, okay, I've got a task, cool, I can complete that, and even if all it does is distracts me for 5-10 minutes, it's giving me something to focus on and to absorb the bad news that has been going on around me. But it's like yesterday I went out playing golf, and golf with the boys is like therapy to me. I don't know what the hell we talk about. I get run over by a golf cart at least 3 times. I've smacked the back of my head when I thought, like, a genuine moment, I saw my ball there, and the guy, and Alex was driving the cart. I went, oh yeah, I'll get that. Just jumped out of the cart and forgot how physics works. Just landed and smashed the back of my head on the floor. Okay, yeah, good. But like, I came away from that feeling so much better. And again, that kind of feeds into the whole idea of social media, unsocial media, is we're connected, but we're now not. So, you know, boys back in the day, they would go down to the pub, right? They'd just chew the fat, wouldn't necessarily be about anything, but you'd have that community feel.
That shows the fact of social media in general, isn't it? And the fact that the way that you deal with something, or you try and deal with something, whether that I just need an hour to myself, or I need, golf, going down the pub with your mates, having a chat, or be in the gym for an hour. Everything that gives you that time alone is not actually on social media. Right.
Interesting point. I like that.
It's the actual process of trying to better yourself or get your mindset in a better place. None of it's, I do that from an hour on TikTok. Or I do that from an hour on YouTube. Well, you don't. You do that from playing golf with your mates. You do that from getting out in fresh air. You get that from going for a walk. You get that from going to the gym. None of that is being on your phone, right?
Well, it's 100%, and it's Jimmy Carr said it recently on a podcast. He said that we live in the best time to have ever been alive in all of human history. There's no argument to be had about 100%. But it's also arguably the worst subjectively.
Yeah.
Because there's so much pressure. Everybody's got to be polished. Everyone's got to have this and that, and cost of living crisis. So suddenly, to actually be a provider, you've got to earn 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times what our parents did, just to make ends meet. So it does get on top of you quite bloody quickly. And I think just the act of reaching out to you guys and just be like, hey, look, let's just go down the pub. Because I think if somebody, if for example you turn around to me and you said, Tom, I'm having a bit of a crap day, let's go down the pub, let's go play some golf. I'm like, yeah, too right, I'll cancel everything I've got to do. Because guys will do that. I'm not going to speak on behalf of women, because and look at me, I'm not a woman, so I'm not going to get myself into that debate.
No, but again, if a mate does reach out, and I've always said my phone's always literally open, so anyone giving me a phone call or a message, lads do react to it. You are there for other people. Lots of blokes turn around and go, I don't really have a load of mates. You've got a load of people you can talk to, or you do play sport with, but actually, if you do make a phone call, 9 times out of 10 they'll come through for you.
100%.
So it's interesting. We've gone dark, haven't we?
Yeah, we've gone very... making a point in terms of, I think everyone... We've seen some of our heroes, like sporting heroes, musicians, actors, that literally apparently have got it all, but they all say the same thing. Either some of them have got through the toughness and are still here today. Some people have obviously not, and they've gone. But they all say the same thing at one point in their lives. They needed to have their solace. They need to have something that makes all the trouble sort of go away, even if it is for an hour or hour and a half. So one of my massive heroes growing up was Maradona. He said about, in the documentary that he had, his thing, it was for 90 minutes, everything just went. Like literally, I was doing the thing that I absolutely love. And the same with actors, I guess. These actors who make films, and you think, how have they made films and then they've ended up taking their own life, for example? It's like, how are they making films last week? It's like, because that was their release. They went, after they're done making that film or that bit of art, or the comedian or whatever they are, they have to go back to their lives, and if they haven't got something in their lives, they will eventually, the demons will come in.
It's a tough one as well. I mean, you hear it often, different things, but especially if you're in a dark place as an actor, like you say, you can put yourself in a role. You literally take yourself out of your.
It's like, look at Robin Williams.
No, yeah,
right.
exactly
Like
one of the funniest people to ever grace this planet, but struggled for years and years. And he said, and I kind of took sort of something from it, and he always said, look out for the smiliest, happiest person in the room. Because the reason that they are is because they don't want anybody else to feel exactly how they do. And I think that's also why I absolutely love racing, because as soon as you get in the car, you put the helmet on, it's like nothing's there. It's literally me versus me, let's go. Because as much as it is okay, you're racing on a track and you're against other people, you're actually racing the stopwatch, which means you're racing yourself. Occasionally people get in the way, but you could just do a bit of BTCC and just push them out of the way, as we learned from Truxton. That's perfectly fine. Them's the rules.
Exactly. I like it. Got it. 24/7 series. Go have a watch.
You need to plug 24. It's great.
That's good.
But in saying this, the social media gets a bad rep, but we are all lucky. I mean, this is going out on social media. We're lucky to be able to do things, but it's so funny with our business. That mentality of certain generation hating social media, and almost writing off.
I think it's
things like TikTok. Literally, how many people do we hear go, "No, don't do TikTok"? And I'm like, No, I'm on Facebook, but I don't do TikTok.
It's the misunderstanding,
It's
and
hilarious.
if you feel like you can't do something, or you don't want to learn about it or whatever, you just go, no, don't need it,
I
don't
want
want
to
it.
shut myself off to it.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And I was exactly the same for TikTok for ages.
Yeah.
I'm not getting that's for 13-year-olds to do like blooming makeup challenges and dances.
That is
What?
exactly.
So you did your
it,
first
yeah.
makeup challenge.
So yeah, I was
Yeah.
wearing my mascara. I made sure I looked fabulous, that was the weird thing, and I also kind of like fed into the lie that
course.
it was all owned by the Chinese Communist
Yeah,
Party
yeah.
and that they were going to steal all my data.
Yeah.
Hilariously, the American government actually believed that to be true.
Yeah, brilliant.
When even though all the servers are in Austin, Texas, and it's just because it's the only social media company they don't own. The TikTok again. I personally think out of all of the social medias, and I'm not saying this because it's I'm biggest
Your
on
platform,
that platform,
yeah,
but
yeah.
I personally think it's probably the better out of all the platforms.
100%,
Like if you
yeah.
get the algorithm built to a decent spec.
But that's the social media, as much as you don't like it, has the biggest influence.
Yeah.
Because they can be short videos or they can be a bit longer now, obviously,
yeah.
but at the same time, they have a bigger influence.
Yeah.
And you can make that difference on it. So like we were saying about social media, can be a reason of not being great for your mental health. At the same time, we're having this conversation. It takes one person to listen to it and go, actually, I am struggling. Either who we know or someone we don't know.
Yeah.
Either reach out to one of us three,
It works.
and that phone call's worth every moment of doing this, right?
Yeah,
That's because
yes.
it's on socials.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's on that note, it was probably the first time that I realised that I'd had some form of platform. So the first video that I did, and funnily enough, it's Men's Health Month this month, is I did a video on International Men's Day, which is the 29th of November, I believe. And again, it was a bit of a throwaway video. Didn't think anything of it because I mean, International Men's Day. Right, we didn't ask for that. So did the video, and it blew up. I think it got like 2.5 million views, 500,000 likes, which I was amazed by. I was like, that's a great ratio. And literally, my inbox within the next 2 weeks was flooded. And there was one message that genuinely took me to my knees, and I had a little breakdown and a cry.
Yeah.
So he sent me a huge paragraph, basically saying how I was in a tough time. Yada yada yada. I'm obviously not going to explain what he was going through, but he basically said that he took himself down to the train tracks, sat down in the middle of the tracks, opened up TikTok, and he saw my video. And because I explained, things will get better, he went, okay, put his phone in his pocket and walked off. And it just left it at the bottom. You saved my life.
Wow.
I just like literally fell on the floor. I was like, well, hang on a minute, that's a lot for me to deal with right now. But it's like, as you say, it can be a positive mechanism from
100%.
time to time. And I think for a lot of people who spend, to be fair, too much time on social media, they occasionally need that feel good and the
100%.
reassurance that everything is fine because they don't get out into the real world enough. But yeah, that one took me quite a few days to process.
Makes it worth every single minute doing it, right? As well.
God.
Especially when you go, I've got to create a bit of content today, or I've got to do this, or I've got to do that, because consistency is key, right? In all social media factors. Yeah. If that just always in the back of your mind, just come over and get right, no, that's fine.
100%.
Right, on it.
And that's it. Again, it was a throwaway video. So if I go, I'll just do a throwaway, it's like, I could do really well. And 2 videos that I've done the last 2 weeks, I thought throwaways.
Yeah.
And they've both got nearly 1 million views. So it's like, as you say, just pump it out. Just like
put it out.
Somebody will want to see it.
That's exactly it.
Fingers
And it's a positive part of their day. That's such a nice thing, isn't it? Like sometimes, because you had a lot of people coming up to you in the BTCC paddock, fangirl was in Shell.
And that was great.
And it's a nice thing. It's a positive thing. Like people are coming up to you, you're putting out stuff there, like you say, you're not taking yourself too seriously, and it's coming, having an impact on someone's life. Even if it's just making someone laugh for a little bit.
Yeah,
it's just a cool little thing to do.
It really is brilliant, and I do love social media for that aspect. And when people are commenting on the videos and like, look forward to your videos every day, like you're my favorite creator, I'm like, that's probably too high a praise, but like amazing. Thank you. Like this is brilliant. And everybody like the other thing that I really enjoy is I don't really get any hate on social media at all.
Cool. Yeah.
Like if you look at a lot of comment sections, it's like you're this, you're that, you're the other, yada yada yada. But don't get that at all.
I think the most I've had, which really upset me, is that someone suggested I look like Rishi Sunak.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Oh,
no prisoners.
I genuinely was like, what? I was like, Jim, they seem to be they mentioned Rishi a few times. Who are they talking about? He's like, well, it's not me.
I mean, your ears are nowhere near big enough to be like Rishi Sunak.
Also, why has there not been a rant about the Sky TV gaff? I mean, did we all see the Sky TV gaff?
What's happened here?
What? Rishi Sunak, please.
Yes, no, I have seen
Rishi
this. No.
Sunak's Sky TV gaff.
Oh yes, I know what it's like to grow up disadvantaged because when I was younger, my father wouldn't let me have Sky TV. Yeah.
I was like,
get in the bin, please, Mr. Sunak.
There's people literally couldn't afford their gas, heating, or food. And he's like, Sky TV. That's Sky. My mate said Sky. I don't have it.
My mini box in my room got cancelled.
Yeah, exactly. I spent too much on the blooming mini bar on the Prosecco and champagne whilst I was at Eton. Like, calm down, darling.
Yeah, my hotel didn't have a mini bar. That would be the next one.
Exactly.
Didn't have a mini bar once.
Well, it was, but it was empty. It wasn't pretty full.
I mean, there have been some atrocious comments. There was another one. There was him. I think he was he must have been at Winchester College. He was young. Well, he must have been because he was dumb enough to make this comment to camera. Is he basically said, "Well, you know, I've got friends from all walks of life. You know, aristocracy, upper class, middle class, working class. Okay, maybe not working class, obviously." And it's just like absolute douche.
Can't do it. See, they wish social media didn't exist because all these things come out.
Yeah, but I mean, again, politicians are just, I think the reason that all of our politicians are such weird people is it takes a weird type of person to want to be involved in.
Yeah, 100%. I think they live in a bubble as well, and it's very much there's no just. Get out there and understand actually the real world at the end of the day, because I don't think any of them do.
So it was really fun story. So my dad's local MP is Liz Truss.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, she cost him a lot of money with her mini budget and a lot of the people that live in his local vicinity. Now they've got a community-run pub, and when we go up to Snetterton next time, we're going to go to the King's Arms in Sholdham. It's fabulous.
Sounds good.
But it's a community-owned pub, not a landlord. It's like a committee of local people. And Liz Truss, to be fair to her, was one of the big sort of noisemakers about it, saying, yeah, the community should buy it. It's be amazing, yada, yada, yada. Anyway, the pub has been under the community now for, I think, 12 years, something like that. She decided to do a random turn-up, probably about 3 or 4 months ago, something like that. And she turned up, she gave a bit of a speech. Everybody was kind of sat there like, whatever, cool. And then the landlord gets up. And the landlord then proceeds to rip the living piss out of Liz Truss and the Conservative Party for the next 15 minutes.
Wow.
And everybody is just looking at Liz, just clapping as loud as they possibly can. Apparently she just went, okay, got in her car and left. And it's just like, you deserve that. Like, you literally came there for a PR opportunity with a bunch of good old Norfolk boys, and they are not going to stand for it. It's just, there are some politicians that I think,
blissfully unaware, aren't they?
Yeah. But it's like, again, you look at every side of the political spectrum. I do not agree with the policies that Corbyn wanted to bring in, nor do I agree with the policies that Farage wants to bring in. But I like the pair of them. For one simple reason. I know exactly what they're thinking, and they will say what is on their mind. Whereas all of these other politicians are like, they'll just beat around the bush.
That's kind of, I think, why obviously Trump was popular, and even Boris in a way was, because he generally say what you think and didn't really care about what the actual outcome or aftermath of that was. It's when you ask a question and you get an answer that does that.
Yeah.
And doesn't even touch the actual question you're asking, right?
Yeah.
I think that's the problem with politics in general. You just want an answer.
And that's it. Because loads of people on my political rants, they always say, "Oh, you should run for PM," and I always say, "Not just yet." A little winky face.
You got a few other things to do.
Yeah, I've got a few other things. Plus, I don't quite hate myself enough yet. To get
I've got some respect.
Yeah,
you want to go on I'm Celebrity, get me out of here, right? So you need to go that route.
Mate,
put that kangaroo testicle in my mouth.
I was gonna say you with a witcher grub hanging out your mouth. That'll go viral.
100%.
That would work.
But that's the thing is I've always said that if I was ever to run, because it's been a joke in my family that I get into politics for years. 'Cause I did politics for A level. Is I said I would run on one policy and that'd be it. Ask me a question, I'll give you the answer. If you didn't like the answer, shouldn't have asked the question. Because, like, I'm not going to be everybody's cup of tea. Like, I know I'm not. So what's the point in trying to pretend?
Yeah, that's true.
Like, it's fine. You know, I've got Mehron's backing, I've got big donors. Like, it's all fine.
Yeah. All of a sudden you make one comment and everyone's like, cut the budget.
I'll get you A to B, but it depends on what you want to turn up in.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, you know, you guys haul anything. If you can't move it, it can't be moved.
Hey!
That's how you do it, darling.
I've got it right for at least 3 of the episodes out of 9.
Yeah. See, this is what happens. Like, I'm just slowly taking over Zach's presenting job. I did it crazy cards.
Hold on a second, I've got this, right? He comes into the BTCC with his big old TikTok following. This rant's going, we're going to cut this up. His big old TikTok following, right?
And
he comes on with his wooden spoon, starts interviewing Dan Rowbottom and Jake Hill, floats in with Tom Ingram and stuff with the same name, and then he's now encroaching on the podcast. He's taken crazy carts because I couldn't make one. Yeah, don't get me wrong.
You got a solid 8 points in this round so far.
And apparently he's pretty handy at driving a race car as well. But we're about to find out soon. Ooh,
yeah.
Drop something in. We're not allowed to mention any details. But let's talk about that. This whole weird world of motorsport. So, maybe you BTCC, you are pretty much just a fanboy. I see
massively.
When Tom Ingram was having a really good one, I think it might have even been Donington. You were going off in the garage. Like, literally, I was like, "Cool, he's up for it."
Yes.
And I was like, "Oh, okay, we've got a fan here." So, but also, you'd probably like to have a go in one of these cars.
See, yes, no, you are right. I am a massive lover of motorsport. Always have been. For the simple reason that chaps that get in on chapettes, that get into cars, yourself and Jordan and everybody else included.
Yeah.
I look at them as gladiators. Like anybody, even if it's at the club level or if it's professional, you are willing to get into a machine and drive a, let's be honest, Mac Jesus for as long as you're allowed. That takes some serious bravery to do that. And also, who doesn't love driving things around in circles? Like, it's super
100%.
Right? And it's genuinely exciting, especially if you compare like the BTCC to Formula One. Formula One at Monaco, I think we had one on-track overtake.
Yeah.
Okay, it's Monaco, but like still one track overtake. You then look at Snetterton, I think there was something like 30, 40 in a 12-lap race. Yeah. So it's far more exciting. I can't help but like keep it under control. And funnily enough, at Snetterton, had a 5-minute conversation with a chap who I can't name, unfortunately, just yet. Maybe later on tonight. We've just been chatting back and forth, and he offered and asked if I'd be interested in racing later this year, which is, it took me all of 30 seconds to bite his hand off for that opportunity, because I mean, who wouldn't, right?
No, 100%.
And you know, if I can actually prove myself to be not too bad, I mean, I've still got to get my ARDS license, which I am doing immediately. You know, I will do it as much as I possibly can, because it's just great fun.
Yeah. So this is one of those things, we've talked about it, that you're offered the opportunity, and it's like the film, was it Jim Carrey, Yes Man, where literally like, yes, I'll do that, yes. So embrace it, yes. Have a little think about it, but no, more often it's going to be yes.
Quite
this
right.
is one of those, right?
Exactly. And
live your life like that.
Yeah.
We spoke about it. Life is too short.
Way too short
Not to take the opportunities, especially that has kind of been forged by ranting in a car and getting a load of followers. So you might as well go, I'll do it.
Well, that's it. It's like when I first got the call from, or I first got the message from Nick Halstead saying, do you want to come to the BTCC? I was like, duh, yeah, of course, amazing. And then I jokingly said to everybody there, because the other sort of content creators that have come along, they've come along for like maybe 1 round or 2 rounds. Yeah. And everybody in the paddock's like, are you ever leaving? I'm like, no. I'm just taking this TikTok spot. Like, I am taking it. It is mine. I am staying. And the fact that, you know, this now may result in me driving a car and, I don't know, maybe doing it more regularly next year. Yeah. It's just the best thing in the goddamn world. Like, say yes and figure out how you're going to do it afterwards, right? But that was it. Is when I said to Nick, I was like, do I need to bring any like recording equipment?
Yeah.
Because all I do is I put my phone in its holder, and that's it. That's all the equipment I've got. So I was like, oh yeah, maybe some mics for some driver interviews. And I get to the paddock, and there's Show Off over here with his camera and his mic, and then all of the other travel mics. I've got a wooden spoon that's got a wire duct tape to it. Like,
Annoyingly, it really works.
I've been asked by about 4 or 5 different people. You know that Tom guy, right? That guy, great. I'll be like, yeah. Why does he walk around with a wooden spoon in his pocket?
Genuinely.
You'll see it.
One of the guys from Virtue absolutely loved it. And I was like, oh, you love him as well, do you? Good. Take his wooden spoon.
Oh, I felt a cold breeze on this shoulder.
Take that wooden spoon and what?
Shove him in a sun don't shine. No, I'm joking.
It is 2024. I might enjoy that.
Genuinely, it needs it, though. We've said about, we've got some equipment, we've got some bits, but TikTok has actually done that as well for creators. They've gone, I'll tell you what, why don't you just get a phone? You know what I mean? Get a phone with Transport for Cornwall on the back.
Nice.
That was stuck on there at the Cornwall show. Now I can't get it off. It's very frustrating. So everyone thinks I'm a Transport for Cornwall geek.
I'm surprised Tingram hasn't put a Tingram sticker on.
I know, I might get that. But you literally get a phone, and that's it. You can have content up within minutes. And also, has it got to be the most polished anymore? No, thanks to TikTok. They've actually, amazingly, we now make adverts for one of our other clients. And the request, we work with another agency, and we put together paid ads, and it gets a load of leads in via TikTok, via Facebook. And the request is, not too polished, please. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, you don't want like a polished advert? No. I need a phone. I need a ground. I went, do you want the sound? He went, they were kind of like, maybe. See what it sounds like without the sound. I went, you might get like wind or traffic. He went, no, that's okay. Because they genuinely want it 100%. To seem like someone's grabbed their phone and gone, I love this company. They're really, really great. I went, well, let's go one step further then. Let's go visit someone that's had a really pleasurable experience and go, do you mind doing a vid? And literally just film them, say the most basic stuff. Because it's so genuine. 100%. Because that whole get an actor in, get a few hours, get the lighting sorted, then they're going to say something and it's going to cut to this. It's all seen, people see through it now.
Oh, 100%. You know what I mean? And I mean, it's like you look at, two racing drivers in the BTCC. You got Tingram and you've got Scott Sumpton, right? Both very, very active on social media because they've got people doing it for them, right? Two very different ways of doing it. So Scott is very, very polished. All of the stuff that comes out from him is, massively edited. His camera guy, he did one bit where there's a wheel gun and then the wheel spins off. And the spinning effect on that took him 6 hours to edit.
Wow.
Right? Like just seriously high levels of stuff. And then the sort of content you put out with Tingram, it is a case of you are literally in the back of the truck and you're just there with a phone and you've got a mic. At two very different ways of doing it. Tingram's getting far more traction. And I mean, it's also, you've got kind of the comedic element in it as well. Like, people don't want to come acroess as always serious, right? So I think one of my favourite videos that you guys did recently was at Thruxton following FP2. You're like, woo! Come on, boys, P1, baby, let's go. And Tingham's just there, just like with a banana in hand, because monkey don't cramp.
And my daughter went, go-karting yesterday. She doesn't eat bananas, she eats bananas, but every now and then, literally, she's in a race suit waiting to go and eating a banana, and she just looked at me and went, monkey don't cramp.
Yes!
I was like, oh no.
That's what we want.
I was going to text him that actually, because that just made me laugh.
That is brilliant. Monkey don't cramp.
Monkey doesn't. But again, that's what I mean. Like, your content is getting so much more traction, many more views. And I don't know if that's just the difference between Tingram and Scott themselves, but
a
little bit. But I think it's much more natural. It's the behind the curtain feel. And if everything is very, very professional, it feels like you're still behind the curtain because everyone's polished and smiley, and we're all perfect.
That's it. And also the need, the whole on the 24/7s, when we sat down with Tom, you won't mind me saying, is that the need for stuff now. Like that's the pressure, and that's the pressure I'm guessing you're under now. It's not pressure because you can pick it up and put it down whenever you want. I guess you want to take a break, you take a break, but people want now that you've got a little bit of a following, they want to see you every day, and then they also want the here and now. So we found that there's been a bit of a curve. Like when we first come in the touring cars 5 years ago, we came in like bull in the china shop.
Yeah.
Like, let's film everything. We broke every single rule going. BTCC were mad at us. I got an email from the head honcho, Mr. Alan Gow. Yeah, he weren't happy because we were breaking every single rule. However, the fans literally were like, what's this?
Yeah.
This is brilliant. They're showing us videos that they filmed at 10 o'clock in the morning and it's up at 11 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
They almost were like, when did they film this? I was like, we filmed it today. They're like, oh, we were thinking, like, when did you come to Brands? I was like, what are you talking about? There's fans. I'm in the same stuff.
Yeah.
I filmed it over there and it's up 2 hours later. They're like...
Especially when it's not on TV like that, right? So, like BTCC, why Quali's not on TV and live and everything.
Yeah.
Like, when you guys do it that quickly as well, you kind of feel like you are up to date as such, do you know what I mean? And it works really well with the touring car side. But I bet every rule that you broke right now are slowly being released
100%,
and you're suddenly
100%.
allowed to do more because it needed it.
Nick House did, in fairness to him, and all these people who are making moves to try to let's relax that. Let's relax that. Let's get this, because they've got their coverage on ITV at the moment, which we can discuss, and it's there for people to watch. Yep. On socials, they need something else. You know what I mean? Like they can't have the same on there.
And I think, like you say, Nick and yourself have proved that that's kind of what the fans want, right? So you kind of come in and, as you're explaining, posting things later in the day. People want to see that stuff. Nick has worked his backside off to get Crazy Carts involved. Yeah. And at Thruxton, in the first section, which you missed because you were too busy with Tom.
Too busy. You only got pole. It was well out of order.
Part-time presenters.
We were all standing there waiting for you to rock up. There was only about
I was supposed to be racing, by the way.
I know you were.
And I was just like, right, you're doing Zach's job. And I was like, there's a microphone and I don't know any of the names of the drivers. But anyway, so we did that and the crowd's there. It was huge and everyone loved it because it's like, just make a bunch of touring car drivers look like children, throw some stuff at them, and you'll have a great time. And everybody loved it. Yeah, special shout out to the Jeff Army, because one of them turned up in a terrible blonde mullet and a full race suit.
Oh, that was
an interesting look. But again, the fans want to see that kind of stuff. So if you've got race 1, you've got race 2, and you've got race 3, right? People, if I'm a massive motorsport fan. I would not tune into ITV4 to watch, let's say, Formula 4. Right? Because if I wanted to watch single-seaters go racing, I'd watch Formula 1. Yeah. Right? And that's not to say that F4 isn't exciting, because it genuinely really is some of the greatest racing. And British F4 is the top F4 series in the world. Yeah. Not that I need to tell you two that. But if in between race 1, race 2 and race 3 you then had little bits, like little skits, of the touring car drivers doing little fun stuff, you could even have an informal setup like this, set up in Accelerate Hospitality or in the back of Bristol Street's garage, and just have these little things that you can then have in between all of the different broadcasts. Because you look at Sky Sports Formula 1, they'll have the race, but before they've got... I was
just about to say that, right?
Yeah, they've got, Grand Prix Sunday. So they've got all of the different interviews that they've had during the week. They've got a little special
detector
bits.
thing. And
lie detectors, or even
different
history.
Bits.
So you've got... People
absolutely
love
brilliant.
history. My best performing TikToks are all about history.
Yeah.
And, if you were to do a little bit where you got Matt Neal back, Jason Plato back, you sat them down in front of their favourite touring cars that they had. I mean, obviously they're both going to go super tourers back in the day, but and then just talk about, with old footage going around, everyone's going, whoa, there used to be a lot of money in touring cars. There used to be a stupid amount of money. And the only way that money is going to return is by more and more people wanting to watch and wanting to engage. And I'm not saying that put the budgets back up to £3 million a year, because that's
hard, right?
Stupid.
If you look at the cars back then as well, though, it was all manufacturer based, right? Actually, sponsor wise, as a sponsor, we would never have been able to have the screen headers like we did last year, for example, and there wouldn't have been the importance of it because Ford are backing you or Hyundai are backing you. Do you know what I mean? So, there's an argument. It's finding the balance. That's the key, because you're right. it is just, and it's going in the right direction. Like we saw at Thruxton, there were record crowds, right?
Yeah.
And it was rammed. It was full.
Thruxton felt
like
the pit
it
lane
felt
at
busy.
Thruxton. The pit lane walkabout of Thruxton felt ridiculous. Like, I was like, this is the busiest I've ever seen Thruxton.
And the weather wasn't even that great.
No,
it wasn't. We've spoken about doing a little setup and having like a 5 minute
100%.
pulling drivers doing things in pie, sort of like.
At Thruxton, you had the perfect setup for it. That Accelerate booth you had with the sim racing setup, and when you do the meet and greet, just sit down with 2 sofas like this, 3 mics, sit down, do like a 15-20 minute piece, have Ronan come in, have Tingram come in, and then you can post that after race 2 or race 3, and you've now got a half-hour segment. So now you've only got to fill another hour of that gap in between race 2 and 3.
You're writing that down. You got that.
Because you don't do enough at the weekend, running around, never seeing each other. Like,
all I see is just you two with cameras just following people around. You can't be that difficult. I'm joking. Please don't hurt me. I'm going to get a lens thrown at my head really quickly.
Jim said to me at the Coopers last week when we had the Matt Hammond's JCW with the new Maron livery on it. He's like, do you want to get a video? I was like, yeah, mate, that'd be amazing. Like, next thing I know, someone turned around to me and went, what's Jim doing? It's like, he spent about 5 minutes walking around the car, like this close to it, like, taking all different things. I was just like, it's just creating some content.
It's like, literally, that's it,
mate.
It just looks like he's having a stroke looking at me. There we go, finally got it.
The motorsport is close. I can't wait for the update for you to tell us what's going on. I'm going to move on to something. Well, definitely we've got to cover.
Yes.
Pies.
Yes. What pies have you got for me today, Dan?
We've got a great selection. We've got
for a man in control of the pies. You seem so lackluster.
I'll be honest with you guys. I called into Lidl on the way here.
It's a visual effect.
It's a visual effect. They are real pies. They're not plastic. They are apple, and they're real pork. But there is. Have we eaten all the barbecue ones?
Maybe.
What's going on? There is a barbecue pork pie.
Selfish boy for a
pork pie.
I think that's a normal pork pie.
Yeah, they're actually decent.
Should I do a
as well.
Tingram in one?
No, but you can do if you want. We'll talk about. Oh, he has.
It's stuck there. It's fine. We'll fill the gap.
Pork pie. There's no pickle in there or anything, mate. Now again,
so we've got the trailer for this episode.
People listening on Spotify.
I think with the Ting episode, we ended up having to cut that down for about 5 minutes to like 30 seconds.
So much. The mince pies, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was good. It was good. It was fine, mate. You take your time. There's no rush.
Well, let's.
The benefit of not being alive.
You've actually done quite well, to be fair. You've got. You need a drink of water or something.
Nope.
I was going to ask favourite savoury and favourite sweet pie.
Oh, good question.
Would it be pork?
Yes, to be fair, I do. So a savoury's got to be a pork pie.
Yeah.
But, mate. Pork
like
pie.
A steak and ale pie or something like that.
See, that's mine. That's every time you mention steak and ale.
If we're talking right, so you've got to have 3 categories then: sweet, savoury, and hot. Because hot, you've got steak and ale, and you've got things like that. Right?
What's your favourite hot pie?
Oh, hot pie. That would probably be. Is it lamb's kidney and something else? I can't remember. Lamb's kidney and onion.
Okay. Yeah.
I used to get that from my local butcher.
Isn't that usually in like a suet pudding? I like
that. Put that on the sofa.
No one saw it.
So it's kind of just like you get it in one of those like weird little metal sort of dishes things, and then get the sort of the pie crust over the top. That's
like a pot pie kind of.
Yeah, exactly like that. But again, if I'm going for a cold, like meaty pie, it's got to be a pork pie, but it's got to be seasoned properly. Lidl let you down a little bit. Right, it's fine.
They did cost all of like £1.
I mean, they were price matched beautifully, and it went down all right. But if I was going to say cold pie, it would probably be sweet pie, apple pie.
Apple pie.
2 reasons. 1, apple pie can't go wrong. And 2, You know how Americans like to say there's nothing more American than an apple pie? It's a British dish. So I just love rubbing that in their face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why do the Americans claim apple pie?
Because they made it.
They also think the Earth is flat, though. So you've got to give them some slag. Like, how is it that you've got NASA and flat earthers come from the same place?
Would you have obviously you've got to have custard with an apple pie?
Ooh.
You're suggesting
I'm always an ice cream man.
See, I'm more of an ice cream man.
This man would live on custard if he could.
Oh. He's just looked at me. Headphones on again. Ice cream.
It genuinely looks like you asked him if you could take his mum out on a date. That was how offended he was right there. But no, I totally get it. I'm an ice cream man as well.
Yeah,
a little bit of ice cream should maybe sprinkle a little bit of sugar on top of the apple pie. Ooh, yeah, yep. Just give myself instant diabetes.
Yeah.
Why not?
Apple pie and custard all day long.
I mean, yeah, my dad is the same as you, Zach. He would eat custard by the boat.
And you know what? I'm really glad that Tom hasn't said, because we've asked him his favourite pie, and he hasn't said, I'd go for an apple crumble. Because it's not a pie.
Who?
Everyone. Seriously, I reckon 9 episodes plus endless other chats.
But you've had we've had intelligent, important people come on in here, and they're saying crumble.
They always. Why would, when you say what's your favourite sweet pie and you say crumble, they should be sentenced to death.
Apple crumble, you're going. I said pie. Did you hear me?
Yeah. It's like me saying, what's your favourite form of car racing? You went MotoGP.
Sidecars.
Exactly.
That's exactly.
Oh my god, the logic of some people.
Like, it did shock me a little bit.
I was wondering where you were going with that MotoGP. That's a good one. Agreed. Crumble. I mean, it's not a pie, is it?
I do now feel very privileged, though. I have now managed to get my finger in the fingers in pies. You were looking very nervous.
What were we talking about last night?
Yeah, okay.
We'll accept that. Because to be fair, because I remember when you first asked me at Brands, I was like, right, I'm going to watch all of the episodes now. And as soon as I saw Ting just go straight in with a mince pie, I was like, getting that done.
It was seriously, that was 5 minutes of pure laughter. And I choked a little bit and we had to edit everything.
Yeah, we realised it was actually a podcast that people were going to listen to.
Yeah, not just watch. Visually, it was funny.
I was...
in your car on Spotify or whatever else you get your podcast with, it doesn't really work.
No, it doesn't, because I had to swap from Spotify to YouTube. I was driving along and I was like, hang on, let me just double check I'm not actually listening to a snuff film really quick. Hang on. And then put it on. And to be fair, it was kind of like a snuff film because everybody had their mouths full of stuff that they didn't want there. And it's like, oh, for goodness sake, what have I agreed to be on? This is ridiculous. I hope that I managed to kill everybody in the studio with that. Oh. I didn't know snuff film coming out. You also can't say coming up after you say snuff film.
Oh my god.
And that's how I got cancelled.
There we go. That's where it is. ThatGuyGray was a popular TikToker. A little bit about people. So we've heard some really nice stories, but and the positivity that you get approaching you. I want to hear what the beauty about people is that we're all different.
Yep.
And you do get some very different people come up to you. You must have had some very different people come up to you and say, "I've seen you on TikTok." Is there any that stick in the mind?
There's one that sticks in my mind.
There's always one.
Good. And I'm gonna be very careful how I approach this because I met him in the BTCC paddock. He was a very, very lovely guy, really, really lovely, really, really welcoming. And he came up to me and my now girlfriend. Yes, who I was basically flirting with, took her to the BTCC and she was like, yeah, agreed. I was like, perfect, thank you.
The BTCC landed me a girlfriend.
Yes, it did. Boys, listen up.
Said no one ever.
So we were in the paddock and he was just like, yeah, that guy grew from TikTok. I was like, yeah. And we got chatting and then he just kept repeating the same phrase, which is, Britain is the best country in the world. And I was like, okay. I was like, yeah, but we are the best.
Oh,
and I was
no.
just like, okay. And he was like, yeah, but it's so lovely to hear somebody that's passionate about our history, and you tell it well, and we are the greatest nation ever. And I was just like, are you like sort of Tommy Robinson in disguise here, because you really do sound EDL as anything. But like was being really friendly, a really lovely guy. But yeah, me and the missus walked away, and she just looked at me and just pulled this face. She just went, like, who are these people? And I was just like, I've never met anybody like that before, darling. I don't know.
That was brilliant.
But like, yeah, I mean, there are some interesting people. I mean, the one that probably made me giggled the most was this was ages ago, because it was right at the end of last year. So I'd only had like 5,000-6,000 followers, something like, maybe 30,000. And I was getting on the tube on the Elizabeth line. The guy comes up to me, and unfortunately, as I'm watching the Formula One, because I'm underground, it's died. And I was like, oh, for goodness sake. Put my phone in my pocket, this guy goes, you that guy Gray? I was like, yeah. He's like, can I have a selfie? I was like, well, I've never had that asked for. Yeah, too right. So I had a selfie with him, kind of said our goodbyes, and then I get onto the train. And as I do, there's a younger couple, about 18, 19 years old. And the guy just goes, babe. And I'm just like listening in because my phone's still dead. And he just goes, that's that guy Gray from TikTok. Look. And she just went, stop it, smacked him in the testicles and said, leave him alone. And I was just there like, I was seeing that whole interact. That was fabulous. Do it again. It was so hard not to spit out the contents of my Red Bull as that happened.
God.
But no, I would say on the majority of the time, most people are really, really lovely. I've only had one negative thing happen or said to me or sent to me, and that was pre me even being on TikTok. It's a long, long time ago. What was it, 2019? Right. So long story short, the terrorist attack in 2019 on London Bridge, I was involved in that. And as I was involved in that, I then had to go on this morning and meet Holly and Phil, because the world's media was kind of rabbiting on and getting down my throat. So I thought, right, I'll put it to an end. So I went on there. And I had 3 or 4 people that I went to university with. Your face.
What? So you drop this in. Oh, go on.
I'm there acting like I knew that, but I don't.
So I got like 3 or 4 people that I went to university with, and because I went on TV afterwards, just to explain my side of the story, they were saying how I was standing on people's graves and how I'm an evil person and I'm trying to be famous off of it and all this, that and the other. That's the only sort of horrible things that have ever been said, and it kind of cut badly because I was good friends with these people. And I was like, I haven't spoken to you for 4 years, and this is your reaction to me trying to get the world's media to leave me alone? Fun. Wow. Thanks for that, guys. But yeah, other than that, it's perfectly lovely.
Wow. That is, that must have been really hard.
It was an interesting Friday afternoon. Yeah. So, I was just wrong place, wrong time, really. So,
really? If you don't mind explaining.
Perfect. I mean, it's we're coming up to 5 years ago it happened now, so I don't feel like I'm using it as clout anymore.
No.
So I was driving over London Bridge, which you still could do back then. And as I was driving over London Bridge, I noticed like standstill traffic and then people running southbound. I was like, what's going on? And obviously I was thinking nothing, out of the ordinary is happening. And then somebody literally stepped on the front grille, onto the bonnet, over the roof of the car. And I was like, right, okay, well, I'm going to go and lamp that person. I'm not having that. And as I've done that, I've then noticed another, 50 people running towards the car. And I was like, well, everyone's running away.
Disaster movie stuff, isn't it?
And as I've looked up, I've seen a puff from a fire extinguisher. And if you've seen any of the clips from that 2019 terrorist attack, he's chased down with a narwhal tusk and a fire extinguisher. When you see it go off, that's what I see. And I was like, well, it's clearly over there. So weirdly, I just ran towards it. I was just like, all of these people running away, I'll just go see what's going on. Curiosity killed the cat, right? Run up onto it, and I'm probably 4th on scene. And at this point, he's been tackled to the ground. He's getting smacked in the head with a narwhal tusk, which is brilliant to watch. But I then turn into Hugh Grant, because everybody's like, he's just killed 3 or 4 people. Oh, shit. What do I do? And I just saw he had 2 knives in his hands, duct taped to his hands. So I thought, I'm here now then. So just started kicking at his hands and got one of the knives out. One of the knives goes up the bridge, and I was like, police want that, so I'll go and grab it. So I walked up to go and grab the knife, as I've done that, then armed response have turned up, and they all have assault rifles, and they're pointing at him. And I was like, well, they're here for someone a knife, so I'm not picking that up. No, thank you.
Wrong timing.
Yes. And then once they've like pilled everybody off, because I was just then kind of stood round there like a bit of a dipshit with my mouth open. Like, what's going on then? We then get told that he's got a bomb vest on. Turns out to be fake, but he's got a bomb vest on. And you can tell the exact moment, because there's a bit of footage sort of looking up the bridge, and I'm right in the middle of the frame. You can tell when they've shouted he's got a bomb, because the jump, oh my God. So the anti-tank barriers that they've got along every bridge in London, I managed to clear that by about 3 foot just from standing still. In my delirious mind, because I've only just been put in charge of the cars for my business, I thought, if I stand in front of the minis, my body will definitely stop a bomb blast. So I go to do exactly that. I go and stand in front of the minis, and I'm just like looking out to see what's happening. Directly in front of the minis, there's then a school bus. It's got a glass plate at the back, and I look in, and there's just like 20 or 30 12-year-olds. And at this point, as I've been running back to the cars, there's already been a gunshot fire. He's already been shot in the shoulder. So I'm just like, right, okay, well, I've got to look after these kids. I was like, you're okay, you're good. Ran up to the driver's door, and I was like, what are you doing? There's literally gunfire and you've got children in your bus. And it's like, the central reservation. I was like, you're in a bus.
Yeah.
Drive over it. It's not that difficult. So there was a homeless guy on the bridge, and me and this homeless guy got the bus turned off, and the guy then makes his way off of the bridge. And then I kind of pin myself up against a double-decker bus. I'm shouting out for my mate Stevie. I'm like, where have you gone to? And it was only at that point that I then saw him get shot in the knee, and I was just like, right, okay, I've now seen him shot in the shoulder and the knee. They're using big boy toys now. I'm not really any use. And I then thought, you know what? There's no civilian near it anymore. There's 8 guns on him. I'm going to get hurt if I stay close. So I decided to run it off the bridge. And for ages, because I was wearing leather-soled dress shoes, as I was running along, I thought, naturally, darling, I thought the noise, the clippity-clop noise, was just my shoes hitting the tarmac. No, he got peppered. He got shot 15 times on top of the 3 that he'd already been shot. Because they get the call, right, end it. And because they're trained by the SAS, it's not 1. Everyone goes 1, 2, 3.
Get job done. Right?
Yeah, exactly. And he's got 6 guns on, so completely peppered. So for 18 months before the inquiry, I was sort of sat around going, did I imagine that? What is going on? But no, I was legit heard it. Got off the bridge, told everyone what happened, helped a couple of people call their parents because all the phone signals were jammed. When I had quit smoking successfully for 4 months at this point. I started smoking immediately.
If anything's going to make you have a face.
Well, that was it.
If anyone turns around and goes, why did you start again? And you said, oh, right.
Well, that was it.
No willpower. No, London Bridge. Oh, great.
It literally nearly fell down. And that was it. So I bought a pack of Marlboro Reds, smoked it in an hour and a half. That's quite impressive for Marlboro Reds. And got to the pub, got absolutely smashed. And to be fair, the worst part I felt about it was for my business partner Tony, because we was going to another job. I called him up and I went, Tone, not going to make it. There's been a terrorist attack. He hears a gunshot and I hang up.
Oh my God.
So
and then don't talk to him for the next.
I then don't talk to him for another 3 hours. So he thinks I've been shot. And I see him at the pub and he's just like a blubbering mess. And he's like, don't ever do that to me again. I was like, yes, no, next time a terrorist comes to town, I'm definitely going to run up to him. Like, that's definitely in my game plan. But then after having a skinful, I then think, oh, my cars are still on the bridge. I need to go and deal with that. And this is how drunk and delirious I was. I was probably 5 or 6 pints in and I walked straight up to an officer. Excuse me, can I get my cars back? And he was like, which cars? I was like, there's 2 minis on the bridge. I was like, well, no, you're not going to be able to get them today. I was like, tomorrow? No, probably Monday. I was like, okay. You sure I can't get them? I was like, mate, you're way too drunk. I was like,
I've got kids.
It was nothing to do with the attack. You were just too pissed.
I was like, well, I'll do it. And he was just like, come on, look, just go away. It's fine. I was like, who do I need to talk to about hitting him? And they're like, who have you hit? And I was like, oh, the guy on the bridge. Like, well, the terrorist. I was like, yeah, I kicked him a couple times. They're like, right, you're coming with me. And I was like, oh, can I just go to the pub, please? And I literally got dragged down to the Salvation Army, sat there, and they started forced feeding me water so I could give a coherent blooming statement. But I was just there literally looking at all of them going, can I have a Guinness, please?
Yeah.
Much prefer one.
Wow.
And as I've then left, I then get cornered by ITN and about 30 cameras.
Wow.
And they all ask me all kinds of questions. And again, leading it back to social media, my God, they like asking you difficult questions, as in like gotcha questions. They're like, right, describe the terrorist. And I was like, brown dude, black hair. And they're like, and the Daily Mail said, brown dude, black hair. That covers a lot of people. Can we be a bit more specific? And I was like, I'm not playing that game. Brown dude, black hair. That's all you're getting. My colleague fell foul to it and he said, oh, it's just your typical terrorist. Look, geezer. And I was like,
oh, no.
You absolute place.
Like, literally.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just like, yes, because every Irishman in the 90s was a brown dude with black hair. Like, come on.
Typical
Like,
terror.
really?
You know, the ones you see on the computer games.
Exactly.
Yeah, you got Grand Theft Auto, the ones that you make.
Yeah.
Exactly that.
Yeah.
But probably the proudest thing out of that whole thing was I was quoted in the Times, and my grandma has got the quote and put it in her downstairs toilet. And they said, so what did you do afterwards? And I'm quoted as saying, I did what any self-respecting Brit would do, and I went to the pub and had 6 of St James's Gate's finest. And it's framed in my grandma's toilet. Every time I go there, and I just decide to go and powder my nose, I sit there and look at it, I'm like, yeah.
I went to the pub.
Exactly. I'm quoted as being a drunk in a national newspaper.
There was
superb.
There was a video, you know, when that other tragic attack was on Saturday night, was it, on one of the bridges or something?
But obviously
where
was that?
people cleared out. That was in London, wasn't it? It was London.
Oh, was this the one in
Bridge.
2017?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was Borough Market. I was there for that as well.
Yeah. So
yeah, this St Christopher is worth absolutely nothing. Like, it's terrible. Luckily, I didn't get to see anything for that one, but I'd let my guests roam around Borough for 2 seconds, and they then got back into my car. And as we're then driving away from Borough, I nearly get rammed off the road by anti-terror. If you've ever seen these boys in London, they are terrifying because they roll around in a Ford F-250 truck.
It just takes up the entire road of London.
And it's all black. They've got massive armour on the back of it, and then they've got, like, they basically look like SWAT in America, which looks stupid in London.
Yeah.
And then they've got a couple of guys that ride on BMW 1250 GS motorbikes, but they've got a pillion who's got an assault rifle. And you just see these guys cruising around London. You're like, oh my, yeah, I'm getting out of the way.
Exactly.
Like, and I can remember I literally pulled out of Borough Market, and these guys were charging up onto the bridge, and he went into Borough Market afterwards. So I was probably ahead of him by like 2 minutes.
There's that guy, obviously everyone's cleaning out the pubs and running down there, but there's that guy with half a pint, isn't there?
Yeah. It's just like,
he's like, I'll pay £6 for this.
Oh mate, tell me about it. Now, back in the day, if it was like £3.50 for a pint, yeah, go on then, I'll spill half of that down me when I'm chugging it. Now I'm like, no, don't touch the moustache.
Exactly.
I want all of it.
Exactly.
But there was that other guy, I think back in 2017, where like this guy went into Borough and he had his machete, he was waving it around, and this guy got nicknamed the Lion of London Bridge. He's a Millwall fan that was pissed up from earlier in the day, and he went, no, in my town, I'm fucking Millwall. I just ran at him, and this guy's got 2 machetes, and this guy's like, yeah, I can headbutt him, come on.
It's like, Millwall just fancy against anyone at any point, including guys with machetes. So.
I mean, yeah, Green Street Elite, what a film that was.
I love that film.
Street.
As a Hammer, I love that film.
Oh, you're a Hammer? See, I support a proper London team.
Oh, here we go.
Arsenal.
Oh. There we go.
In my defence, though, I have supported them since, 2002, so when they were actually good. But they've been pretty shocking since then.
Chelsea.
Who invited this child?
Just let's not. Yeah. Arsenal, Chelsea and West Ham, probably
Arsenal
not.
actually better than both of us now, which is disappointing.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, getting an STD is better than being a Chelsea fan.
Well, I found the...
Well, that's been episode 9, ladies and gentlemen.
Found the skip.
We're going to have about 3 minutes we can use. On that, how long are we going?
Hour and 20 minutes.
Oh, Jesus, we better wrap it up.
the longest one.
Sorry, yes, I am terrible. I will just talk forever.
It's fine.
It doesn't feel like that.
We could have just got on to football, then we'd been here for another hour.
Yeah, I know. We've just gone to football. SCD. I think we are getting. Was there beer in now? I'm just wondering if we're getting a little bit loose-lipped. We've had racial.
A bit.
We've
had sexual content.
Sexual content. We've had a bit of We've had a bit of snuff film. Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to stop talking shit.
I mean, the mic looks suggestive when you say snuff film. I'm just saying. I'm just trying to break the pair of you.
I'm going to cut. We will wrap it up there. I think we spoke about a lot.
We have. It's been good. I've enjoyed it.
Thank you very much, Tom.
Thank you, Mr.
For coming on to episode 9 of Fingers and Pies podcast. As usual, this will be on YouTube, Spotify, and several other ways of finding your podcast. Where else is there? Loads.
I think that's it.
No, there's not. Apple.
Is he really your head presenter?
Yeah.
Apple. There's a few others. Anywhere where you get your podcast, we're on there. There you go. Fingers and Pies podcast. We're
in Boots. We're in Halfords.
Yeah.
No?
You get a tape. You get some tape. You get some tape.
Release these little CDs.
Yeah, you get some
Did you get a special pencil to put it in the cassette and wind it back?
No, we went with mini disc. We thought that was coming back.
Yeah,
so we released on mini disc.
I thought you were going to go floppy disc, but
we're on CD. We're on tape and DVD. Anything else?
Vinyl's coming out.
Vinyl.
Blu-ray.
Blu-ray.
Laserdisc.
VHS.
Remember Laserdisc, Betamax.
Like
right, anyway, we're just
sorry.
naming ways of media. Fingers and Pies is done. Thank you very much, Tom.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you as always,
cheers.
Tommy.
Cheers, mate. See you next time.
And we will see you on episode 10 very, very soon.
Love all of you. Bye.